Hello and welcome back to Hank's Yarncast. My name is Casey. I'm the owner-operator of Hank's Yarn Parlour in Belfast. If you're new to the show, you're very welcome. This is just where I come to talk a little bit about the shop, what's going on there, and what I am knitting or crocheting sometimes. I hope you all had a very happy Halloween, and now we're getting proper into kind of more wintry weather, I think, and it'll be Christmas in no time. Yikes. I just wanted to start off this episode, I think, by talking a little bit of shop news. What's going on here? So we have a couple of classes coming up. First of which, the beginner's crochet class is coming back up. So if you know someone that has been thinking about giving crochet a try, definitely would recommend coming to this class. So the sort of format that we work off, it's a 3-week class. And during those 3 weeks, I'm going to show you all the steps to make a granny square. I know this is a little controversial because some people would say that a granny square is a little bit complicated to start. Oh, that's the back side of this one. But I actually think that this really gives you the foundation for everything you could kind of need to know about crochet. And it's actually really not that complicated. We've been doing that for a few years now. So this basically will teach you how to chain, how to double crochet, how to treble crochet, and we'll show you also what you can do with your granny squares, so how you can join these into like a million different projects. So this one is one that I've had in the works for a while. It's destined to be a cushion cover when I get it finished. I've also made some smaller ones before. This one's like this one uses 4 squares to make just a little pouch with a button closure. You can make scarves, you can make blankets, bags, jumpers even. Like, the possibilities of the granny square are absolutely endless, and I think that it's really good foundation to build on. So it's a good place for beginners to start, I actually think. The crochet class is starting on November 20th. So that'll be November 20th, November 27th, and December 4th are the dates for that. You can find all of the details for that class on Hank's website, so hanksarmparlor.com, under the events tab. And the other class that is coming up, this one is on the 28th of November, and this is our steeking workshop is coming back. So this class, we make a little cup cozy, little mug cozy, super quick, simple little project that you can whip up just so that you can practice steeking. And this class is really designed to kind of understand how to secure a steek before you cut it, how to cut it, and then how to pick up your button bands afterwards. So this technique is most commonly used for cardigans mostly. So it's a way of working color work in the round, because that's just less painful than purling color work, to be honest. But what if you want it open? So the idea is that you knit everything in the round. Basically, you turn it into a pullover, and then you're going to cut up the front of it, which I know everybody's absolutely terrified of cutting their knitting. Of course, it's going to unravel, isn't it? Well, I promise you it won't. This is a little one that I haven't quite put the button bands on yet, but so I've cut this one open. That's the inside. That's kind of where the steek stitches were secured. This one I used a crochet chain to secure the steek, but we're going to talk about a few different methods in the class of how you can do this, and we can give a few of them a try. And so the idea is that hopefully you will the sort of setup for this class is a little bit different. So if you sign up for this class, I'm going to ask you to come down to the shop and pick up a little kit to knit your cup cozy before the class. And I promise you, it's a super quick project. You could do it in an evening. And then you bring your cozy with you. And then in the class, I will show you how to secure the steek. We'll cut it together, and you will leave with hopefully bangs more confidence about being able to steek your project, plus a little mug cozy that you can take home with you. Let's see. What else? Well, I guess I'll just get back into what I'm knitting. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is the Susurrus shawl. This is by Anne-Michelle Phelan. I'll just take this off for a second so you can really see the texture in this. It's a bit cool in the shop today, so this really lovely bee stitch. This is a sort of it's brioche, but it's kind of, rather than, it's kind of offset, like a seed stitch brioche almost. It gives this really, really, really lovely texture that is so cozy. I knit this out of Studio Donegal. I can't remember which one is their 4-ply, if that's the Darney or if it's one down, but it is the 4-ply. I don't recall the color name, but I knit this in that. I actually picked it up at This Is Knit in Dublin a couple years ago, and saw the pattern there and absolutely fell in love with it. There's also like these really fun little lacy section at the bottom. It has little baubles. This is so dark on this camera, so sorry if you can't see that so well. But yeah, it is lovely and cozy and keeping me nice and warm in the shop today. The jumper I'm wearing, this is the Daily Ritual Raglan. It's by Park Williams. Nice cozy funnel neck on it. This one I've cropped a bit because I actually didn't design it. I specifically chose it because I wanted it to wear with just this little kind of autumnal dress that I have. So I picked colors around that. I knit this one in Rosario's for Cowl, held double with a strand of the Camarose Midnight Soul, which I have here. So this lovely soft pink and this really pale powdery one, and that's kind of how they marled together to create this really lovely light effect. It's really kind of the perfect pink to go with that skirt. I probably should have worn the dress with today to show you, but it's lovely and cozy. I've spoken about the camel on the podcast before. So this is a wool and camel blend, and it's so soft and it's so lovely and cozy, so warm, without weighing a ton. Like this is a sport weight yarn, and then paired up with the Manastrale, this lace weight, so they kind of come out at about a DK weight. So the jumper's nice and light and airy, but it's really, really cozy, really, really lovely and warm. And didn't take a ton of yarn to knit this one either. Now, mind you, I did do it cropped, but I think I only used about 5 balls of the camel and about 4 of the Midnight Soul. It's got a little bit more meterage in it, but definitely one of my favorite wintry sweaters. I would really love this one. And let's see, what am I knitting on? Oh, actually, before I pull up what I'm knitting on, I just wanted to also remind you about Hank's Autumn Cowl. So, if you've been watching the podcast, you'll be familiar with this already, but if you're new, you might be interested to know that I'm running a knit along. So you can use any of my 6 patterns. They are available on Ravelry. So there are 2 different beanie patterns. There's a hot water bottle cover. There's 2 mitten patterns and a slipper sock pattern. I'll have links to those in the show notes. So, yeah, if you want to join along in the cowl, just grab the pattern. That runs until the 30th of November. You don't have to have a finished piece. The only thing that you do have to have is posted a photo of it on Instagram and or TikTok. And you want to use the hashtag Hank's Autumn Cowl 2024. And please do also tag the shop at Hank's Yarn Parlor. I've had a few questions as well about whether it needs to be a grid post or if it can be a story post. It does have to be a grid post, or it could actually be a reel as well. It needs to be searchable, and unfortunately stories disappear after 24 hours, so I might miss it if you only post it as a story. So please do post it as something that's not going to disappear after a few hours. All right, okay, now I'll get into what I've been knitting. The saga continues with the Knitter's Dude sweater. So I have finally managed to get the sleeves on this bad boy done. 2 sleeves now. After many rip outs, I think we finally managed to get the sleeves at a reasonable size. So they are done, and that will kind of show you what the motif on the main body of the sweater will kind of come out like. So there's another repeat of this goes on at kind of the top of the shoulder here once you join the sleeves to the body, and then you work the raglan decreases up to the neckline. So that's on the go. Sleeves are done, and I have cast on the body. I'm just about to start the first band of color work on the body. So we've got about 5 inches there, so only about 17 more to go, I think. But now I think we're trucking along now that I've kind of got the sizing issues worked out. So hopefully by the next time I'm podcasting, this will be actually finished and I'll be able to show it off. This is a steeked cardigan, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that last time, but so that's my steek in the middle there. So once I'm finished knitting the whole jumper, I will cut it open, pick up the button bands. I'm actually considering, I'm gonna have to discuss with the recipient of this jumper, but I'm debating whether or not I might actually try to put a zip in this time rather than buttons. So the original cardigan that Jeff Bridges wears in the film The Big Lebowski, it's actually a zip. And yeah, I just wondered if he might appreciate that a little bit more. I've never sewn a zip into a jumper, but I might be willing to give that a go. I have also been thinking about doing that for the Bee's Knees cardigan. You might recall I had this one in my queue. Still haven't started that yet either, guys. Just trying to clear some stuff off my plate, mainly this one before I jump into such a major project like that. So that is what is going on there. I'm enjoying this a lot more now that I've got the sleeves worked out. I'm really enjoying working with the yarn. Again, this is Isager's Highland wool. So I'm holding it double. Actually I've got 2 balls here. I'm holding it double, denim blue and a charcoal gray to get this sort of marled effect in the main body, main color. It does feel really nice. Like it's unbelievable how soft this is for Highland wool. I think a lot of people kind of get put off by Highland wool, like it's going to be rough and scratchy, and I suppose if you're really sensitive it might be, but I know this feels fine to me already, but I know that this is going to soften up so much more once it gets a good wash and block. So that's going to be really kind of snuggle territory, I think, by the time it's done. Right, pull myself back up here. It is a bit chilly in the shop. Always happens in the winter time. It's so cold in here. Okay, what else have I got on these? So I did actually start some surgery on my cherry puff sweater. So that is the one that I had knit a few years ago. Short sleeved. I modified the pattern for it to have short sleeves because I only had 2 hanks of yarn. And then I had to go buy another hank of that yarn to finish my Esther pullover. For all 5 rows that I needed of it. So I basically essentially ended up with a whole other ball of yarn. So I've got the cherry puff here. I have started search, and again, this is really dark yarn, so I apologize if you can't see the detail on this one. I'll just kind of hold it open a bit like this. There's this lovely kind of, just barely see, and there's this lovely rows of eyelets going down the front on either side. So this is the original sleeve length that I had done. It kind of comes down just like mid bicep. But now that we have an extra hank of yarn, and I'd prefer to wear this in the winter, we're elongating the sleeves. So I've just about finished this one. I've got about another 2-3 inches, and then the cuff to go on that side. This has taken a little bit of negotiating as well. I mean, it sounds silly because the original pattern has instructions for the sleeve. However, as I want to do with every knitting pattern, I modified the sleeves. And of course didn't write down any notes about how I modified the sleeves, but I basically just wanted it to have a little bit less of because it's got quite a big puff shoulder in the original pattern. I'll throw a photo of it up here actually. And I just wanted it to be a little bit less puffy. And I'm happy with how much puff there is, but it does mean that my stitch count was quite a bit different from what the pattern kind of called for by the time you're kind of knitting the rest of the sleeve, like rather than just the shoulder cap. So I've had to get a little bit creative, a little bit of trial and error with the decrease rate, and also how much yarn that was eating up, because I think this is going to be a little bit of a yarn chicken scenario as well. There's going to be just enough to get both of these sleeves done. I've weighed the ball and I've not quite used half of what I had to get this far, so I think that it should land hopefully just right at the cuff. They might be a little bit shorter than I would like, but definitely more serviceable than a short sleeve kind of sweater. So reasonable chance I might be able to wear this one on the next podcast if I can get my act together and get these sleeves done. There is, one more thing that I have been kind of working on in the background, and I wasn't sure if I was going to share it or not yet, but one, because it's a new pattern I'm working on, and in fact, I'm not going to be keeping that a secret for any longer. In fact, I've just said it, but also kind of wasn't sure if I was going to share it on here because the prototype is a gift for my partner. So if you have taken it upon yourself to watch this episode, you can stop watching now, please. All right, here we go. So it's a new sock pattern. This is kind of playing off of my buffalo toque pattern, same motif. So now we can lumberjack out with our socks. This is it's knit in 4-ply, color work obviously in the round. Now I tend to knit my color work socks tend to come out so much tighter than the rest of my color work knitting. Like when I work in a small circumference like this, it comes out so tight. So I knit my partner Andrew. I knit him a pair of socks every Christmas. It's somehow developed into a thing. And a couple of years ago, I knit him a pair without kind of really thinking about my tension and not really realizing how much tighter my color work tension is. So I used the stitch count and the same needles for a not color work pair of socks that I had knit him the year before. Anyway, long story short, they came out way, way too tight. So keeping that in mind, and I've got some feedback from a lot of other people that do tend to be the same, that even if your like jumper tension or something like a bigger project, if your color work tension isn't different, you might still want to test it out on a small circumference project, because especially depending on the type of needles that you're using. Like I'm using a 9-inch circulars for these for the most part, apart from the heels and toes. So that might play a factor. You might get different tension if you're using DPNs or if you're using Magic Loop. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to figure out what sort of stitch count I would have to use to make sure that these actually do fit his feet. And then I thought, well, while I'm doing this, like we're knitting a new pattern. We're writing a new pattern. So I will be releasing a test call or putting out a test call for this very shortly. I just need to kind of work out a bit more of the maths on the different sizes that'll be available for this. So I'm aiming to have at least 4 sizes. Probably this one being the large size. There'll be an extra large size and there'll be a small medium size as well. So once I have kind of worked the kinks out of that, I'll be putting out a test call, and then very shortly there will be a pattern release for that. So 3 colors. Once the pattern's released, I will probably have kits for this in the shop too, hopefully before Christmas time. Right, so that is that. I've used, let me see, what have I got? I don't have the labels on the balls anymore, but I've been using the Edelweiss sock yarn for that. I've got some just down here actually that I can reach. So this is Krumka Souls Edelweiss Alpaca. These come in little 25-gram balls. They are socks, so they are 25 grams, 100 meters, and the composition, they are 65% wool, 25% nylon, and 10% alpaca. And you might not think that that little tiny bit of alpaca is going to make a whole lot of difference, but it does. This is so incredibly soft. It's got a little bit of a halo. You might actually be able to see that better off the edge of this sock. Tiny little bit of a halo, not very much. So there's not a lot of like extra hairiness going on, the same as there would be with like a brush series, like my jumper. But it holds up really well. It's probably my favorite sock yarn. It's machine washable still. Tons of colors available in this, and yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to knit with. Feels great to wear. And I also really like that they come in these little balls because that makes them even better for color work. So you don't have to buy like a 50-gram hank of every color that you're going to use for your sock. So a little bit less kind of left over. I said, well, now that I'm thinking about that, is that such a bad thing? Having leftovers? Probably not. There's always something else that they can be used up for, right? But yeah, definitely one of my all-time favorite sock yarns. So sorry for that little interruption there. The last thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is just what has made its way into my queue. Not an awful lot, but there is one particular project that really kind of jumped out at me, and I thought, yeah, I need to knit that, and that is the Simon Shawl by Twin Set and Pearl. My friend Angela had this on her podcast the other week there, and I saw it on there, and it looked really, really, I don't know, it's just such a cool pattern. I mean, it kind of pops up, so I'll put the photo up here. And it's a garter shawl, but it kind of comes out with this sort of houndstooth sort of look to it. And it's knit, it's crescent shaped, it's knit tip to tip. So the idea is that you're not having to deal with any really, really long rows. It keeps the rows quite short. So in theory, your shawl is kind of growing, or at least feels like it's going a bit quicker. So you don't have any of those really, really long rows that just feel like a complete slog. I feel like that's the kind of knitting that I need right now. I'm definitely going to need that sort of project after the Knitter's Dude cardigan and the trial that has been. So I haven't started it yet. I'm just kind of in the thinking about yarn stage and what sort of colors I might like to use. So I'm thinking I'll show you a few of the ideas that I had pulled for that, and yeah, maybe you guys can give me some feedback in the comments. I kind of can't really decide. There's a lot of options. So my kind of first thought would be that the Erica Knight wool logo would be really great for this. You'd only need kind of one hank of each color, and kind of got me thinking about colors. So there's some really, really, like, all of her colors go together. This is what I really love about this range, is you can pick any two of them and they all go together. I kind of am a little bit torn between whether I want to go with like a really high contrast or something that's a little bit lower. So this would be kind of a low contrast option. It's 2 pinks. Another lower contrast option. Well, maybe kind of a medium sort of contrast option, which actually those are quite high contrast now that I'm seeing them. Yeah. This is maybe a little bit more masculine. There's also this lovely navy one as well that I think goes with that one too. It's a bit lower contrast. The navies actually go really well, so do the teals with pinks too. So those are all great options. They all just work so well with each other. You could also go the gray and the pink would be really lovely too. So few options there. One of the other colors that has been jumping off the shelf at me lately are these two. So this is Easter's Maryland. This is a wool and linen blend, and it has the most lovely drape, and it's so squishy, it's so soft. And I really like that the linen in this kind of gives the green a little bit of a marled effect there. I think this really lovely deep foresty green goes so well with this sort of old grubby pink. It actually looks a bit brighter on the camera here than it is. It's a bit softer than what it's appearing. It's not quite so saturated, but they're really lovely kind of autumny wintry combo as well, I thought. And there's also this combination that jumped out at me. So this is Easter's Highland wool again. This is their, I think this color is called curry. It's like a goldy yellow kind of color. It's a little bit on the green side, but I think it pairs really well with this wine color. It's giving me slight Harry Potter vibes, not gonna lie. But also this is, so this one's called Wine, and this one looks quite a bit more purple than it's showing up on camera. It looks really red there for some reason. It's definitely more purple than that. But I think that could be a really lovely combo as well. And I actually kind of think that this is fairly masculine too. So if you're thinking about making one, so the pattern, which I think is really cool, Joanna from Twin Set and Pearl has included, so I'm just looking at the pattern on Ravel right now. So she has included the cowl instructions as well. So when you buy the shawl pattern, you also get the instructions to make a cowl, which I think would probably go even quicker than the shawl. And probably would make a really, really great Christmas gift, you guys. So it's definitely on my radar for gift knitting. I want one for myself because there's nothing nicer than like something that's good squishy fabric around your neck. I really love to cozy up in that this time of year. But there's an awful lot of different combos that I think would be so great for this in different kind of textures of yarn, but also different colors. And you can kind of mix and match these two. Like now that I've got this in my hand and I've still got the Erica Knight here as well, I'm kind of thinking like that's also a really lovely combo. Actually this one too with the other Easter is also super lovely. So and I think that sort of series of little shawls she had named after male family members, I don't know if that's because she was specifically looking for a more masculine pattern or not, but I do think that it would suit a more masculine pattern. And I know that sometimes it can be really hard to gift knit for men. So just something to keep on your radar as well if you're considering little gift knits for the guys in your life. So that's the only new pattern that's on my radar at the moment. Probably the only one that I will have time for between everything else that's going on. So let's just have a quick recap here. So if you're interested in the classes I talked about, so it's beginners crochet or the steeking workshop, please have a look on our website. You can also find all the details of Hank's Autumn Cowl there. Yeah, and that's all I've got for you guys this week. So hope you've enjoyed. If you've stayed with me to the end, do keep an eye out too on our Instagram if you're interested in testing out that sock pattern. And yeah, until next time, thanks so much for joining me, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.